that. Now my testimony, this is the country Iran. As you heard, that's old Persia, mentioned many times in the Bible. And still Prophet Daniel's and Esther's tombs are in Iran. I was born in the northern part of the Iran, beside the Caspian Sea, born in a Muslim family. My father had 2 wives, 12 children. They were all living together. And I was picked up by my father and sent to a religious course because I was doing well in school, and he thought I could be a good religious boy too, a man, prepare myself to be religious. And I succeeded in that. At the age of 9, I became a famous boy because I was able to recite the Quran in Arabic, even though I didn't know the meaning, even though Arabic is not an Iranian language. But that's just custom, you memorize it, because from childhood they just teach you that's the best book, and there's no book like that. You just memorize it. We did. But from childhood, we learned from the mosques and from the community and from the Quran that Christians and Jews and other non-Muslims are infidels, they are unclean people, and Quran actually names that they are worst of beasts, animals, pigs and donkeys. There are verses. I do not have time to give references to you. Whatever I'm speaking here, all are with references. I have to speak with reference. Otherwise, they just come and shout and say they are lying. Unfortunately, I've been disturbed so many times. So we learned that these people are unclean people, and they are not real humankind. They become humankind only they become Muslim. And we learned also from the Quran and from clergies that we have to invite them to become Muslim because they are polluting the world. We have to clean the world from pollution. And if they reject to become Muslim, they have to be killed. So Quran speaks about that hundreds of times, that you have to go and make all people Muslim if they reject, and you have to kill them. So that was our mindset. With this mindset, you never thought that one day you're going to be a follower of Jesus Christ. It's impossible. You have to be killed. And also you're becoming unclean. You never imagined, really. I never thought about that. But the grace of Jesus is so deep, and he came and touched my life. I finished my high school and entered university. In the university, I became a radical Muslim, followed this man, Ayatollah Khomeini. His voice was strong in that time against the king of Iran, because the king of Iran accepted Israel as a country. No Muslim has right to believe any right for any Jew in the world. And not only that, you have to kill them. That's the Islamic book. Muhammad said the last day will not come unless Muslims have finished all Jews. That's infidelity if you accept for Jews a land. And so the king had to be killed according to Islamic law, and this man stood against him. If you remember, some of you possibly, that years ago Sadat, the president of Egypt, was assassinated because of that. He was the second one accepted and entered a peace treaty with Israel, even though now Muslim Brotherhood has won and they are threatening that peace treaty. So under his leadership, we overthrow the kingdom in Iran. The king of Iran escaped, and Ayatollah Khomeini entered the country. We started to rule the country by Islamic law. Because I was one of the famous boys, that's me in front of other boys, initially I was invited to start the revolutionary army in Iran. Now, that's called Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a phrase taken from the Quran chapter 5 that means the army of Allah. All Muslims need to be the member of the army of Allah and take Islam to the end of the world. So this army had two major goals, really, to Islamicize the world and also absolutely capture Israel for whatever cost. And this army actually started Hezbollah in Lebanon. Hezbollah in Lebanon is a shoot of this army. is paid by this army, is ruled by this army still. I mean, it's funny that the other country is ruling over another country, but the world just is keeping quiet. Unfortunately, Hezbollah has won now and has even a representative in the United Nations, even though United Nations accepted that group as a terrorist group. So we try to teach our younger boys and girls the fighting tactics and, killing and suicide bombing tactics. And we took them to the army camp and taught them. That's me there. I'm praying Islamic prayer. And this is me again, teaching them to prepare them to send them to other countries, to Palestine and fight against Israel, or to send as students to the Western countries to change the culture from inside, to Islamicize. If you see that Islamic law is accepted almost in all countries, partly some in, especially in England, was accepted last year, and the Islamic courts are everywhere. If you read articles, even though Muslim ladies are complaining to UK government that they are not dealing with them fairly, but when Islam establishes itself, really you cannot fight against that. And so that's the case there. This is my wife. She was one of the fiery girls. I said, wow, this is mine. It's true, really. I mean, you cannot find many younger boys and girls in the Middle East to be angry, hostile, fiery. Many of them want really to live a peaceful life and to have a life for themselves, to make money. But if you find some of them, really, you get encouraged and you invest in their life. And this girl was one of them. And she drew my attention for the same interest. We got married. This is our wedding day. You see how excited they are? Islam is not an exciting religion. You may have seen Muslims, exciting, smile, laugh. That's their culture. There's a rich, values in some Middle Eastern cultures, Persian, even Saudi Arabia's culture is more open before Islam. From the Quran, we understand that. But as Muslim leaders, you always have to have authoritarian faith, and the hierarchy of leadership is authoritarian, and you have to teach them always anger and hatred. If you read the Quran, you understand that. Anger and hatred is blessing. They are blessing in the Quran. It's quite different to the gospel. Hating others is sin. You have to love them no matter how they deal with you. Even they're terrorists, if they're killers, you have to love them. But so different in Islam. This is after our marriage. This is our elder daughter, and she's not covered like my wife. You cover your daughters in Islam, generally speaking, from the age of 7. But there is law also, you can cover her before that. Why the age of 7? Because the age of 7 is the age of marriage in Islam. If you're 7 years old, a girl, your dad or your grandpa can give you to a man 20, 30, and 85. And it's happening still in Saudi Arabia and in all Islamic countries, but in the moderate Islamic countries, it's not practiced that much. It's secretly, if the law do not allow them. But in Saudi Arabia is a problem, in Yemen is a problem. And Muhammad, the Prophet of Islam, he was 49, he had a wife 6 years old. And Islamic books are saying that she was 9 or 8, because the counting age is different in Middle East compared to America. The marriage was consummated. So Muhammad was 51 or 52, and she was 8 or 9.